Hey, what's good? And welcome to Godus. My name is Wiley. I'm going to be taking a look at the 1.3 patch of this game today, which just came out like at noon. It's so 6 or 8 hours ago. I don't know what time it is right now. I'm going to be talking a little bit about just what's going on with this game right now. It's still in really early beta, so it's got a lot of good things and a lot of bad things going on. Maybe not that many bad things. I really like this game. Anyway, let's get started. So you start out with just 2 people, and by destroying that stone, what I did was cleared or flattened a little bit of land. Now, because I've just done something, it's given me just this initial God card, the Faith card. So you progress through everything, this whole game, by getting these cards. I have a feeling this mechanic might be changed or extremely altered as the beta gets closer to the initial release, just because a lot of people don't like it right now. One thing that's kind of cool about it, though, is you can flip through and just see all the things that are going to happen in the future as you advance your society. Just like all these advancement periods and shit like that. But anyway, let's get back to the game. So I've got these 2 people here who are now building a house. The most basic mechanic of this game is that if you clear land, people will build houses. And they really need houses to survive. What's going on? Okay, so they built their first house. I've gotten a God card for land expansion. At the beginning of the game, you're really going to be focusing on land expansion because I don't have a very wide area of belief. You'll get multiple land expansion cards, and they just widen this little circle here, which affects the area that you can manipulate the land and whatever. Lets you just do all your godly stuff. So, as I said before, all I'm really doing here is clearing out a space for these people to build houses. And, you know, the population's gonna increase over time. These little houses only hold 2 people, but they'll continue, if you spawn a person from the house, they'll continue to fill the house, which is kind of weird when you think about it. Well, I don't know, maybe not. There's a lot of incest going on in these early villages. It's just the way that, you know, it has to be. So I'm just going to keep pumping people out of these houses and just kind of building up my population as much as possible. You'll see here, once I get to 6 people, I'm going to get another, probably a land expansion card. Now, the only other thing I can really do at the beginning of the game, besides destroy trees and rocks, is sculpt the land. And that's like one of the biggest mechanics in this game. So as you can see, there's just levels of land here, you know. Let's call this 1, here's 2, here's 3, you know. And you can go up really high and down really low. You can go down to the water level, and you can go up, you know, seemingly infinitely. I actually haven't, you know, seen how far you can go up, but I'm sure you could spend probably hundreds of thousands of belief, you know, going up to the top of the world, if not more than that. So this is a new feature. It looks like they've added a timer for the like an interface timer for when people spawn. That's a new little feature, which is really cool. Also, I'm hearing a heartbeat right now. I'm not sure what that's about. So they've added a lot of stuff in 1.3, and I'm completely fresh to 1.3. But when 1.2 came out, I played for probably just basically just 2 days straight. I just didn't do anything except play this game. I got it like right on the weekend. I'd worked all week, and I was, you know, I had plans to go out that night and stuff like that, believe it or not, and I started playing this, and it suddenly occurred to me, all I'm gonna do today is play Godus, and I was completely okay with that. So you see, I have 6 people. I've gotten another land expansion. The reason that I've built up people is just there's more room for them in these houses, so they're just constantly breeding, you know, as humans are wont to do. It looks like another thing they've added in 1.3 is you can only spawn 1 person at a time. It looks, oh no. Yeah, so there's kind of like an area of effect, or like a limit to how many people you can sort of spawn here, which is interesting. Another thing that I read a little bit about this, because it seemed to me, oh shit. Okay, so this guy's building up on this shelf, and I'm not really totally sure I want to do that. I guess that's alright. sometimes I like to just try to concentrate on one area, build it up as much as possible, just get as many houses as I can. Okay, so I've unlocked smart sculpting, which is good. So this is actually my favorite way to sculpt. Instead of kind of clicking and dragging the land like this, I can just double click and it just kind of goes away like that. So, alright. So what I like to do in order to have as much room as possible to build, or to have as many houses as possible to sort of concentrate how much I can pump up my population, is just pick like 1 or 2 levels, you know, one down here, one up here, and those will be my 2 major building platforms. Now this might actually be a bad idea, and the reason is that later in the game, like much farther into the ages, okay, so I've unlocked the house expansion, I'll talk about that in a second, one thing at a time. So as you progress through the ages, one of the things that happens is people start becoming aware of aesthetics. You know, as your people advance, they're thinking to themselves, oh, well, you know, there's something nice about living by the beach, you know, or there's something nice about living in a forest, or whatever. I don't know what their actual preferences are. There's something nice about living by water or trees or, you know, nature. And so houses gain happiness, which increases the amount of belief that you get, which lets you do everything from sculpting the land to making people, you know, everything. So, good grief, there's so much to talk about this game. I'm getting really overwhelmed, but I'll get through it here. All that's happening here is I'm getting a land expansion because I've hit, looks like 15 people. So, Christ, what the hell was I just talking about? So, as you're progressing through the game, you know, later in the game, people enjoy living in, like, you know, by forests or in nice, aesthetically pleasing areas. So by flattening out the land like this, I might be decreasing the happiness of these people later in the game. But I assume that there will be some way to alleviate that. You know, there is a power called beautification, which I'm sure increases their aesthetic happiness. Alright, so I'm just pumping out more people. I've got another god card. Okay, so let's talk about these advancement cards real quick that require resources. So, certain cards require resources to unlock. You know, wood, felt, etc. So you have to find the resources in these chests. At the moment, that's pretty much the only way to get them. I kind of think this mechanic might be changed later too, but I'm not really sure. So I'm just getting these resources and using them to unlock, you know, I just unlocked felt tents. That's the only resource I need. So bam, I've got felt, I just found it in a chest, and boom, I get bigger houses now. I get felt tents. Now, I was reading about this before I started to play. So felt tents no longer generate belief, but they do breed followers faster, which seems to be the same as these first houses that I have. What are these called? A shelter. You right-click to pull up the information like that. Took me a long time to figure that out. So, I'm not just pumping out people. One of the things that people do when they first play this game is just try to breed as many people as possible. And if you don't have enough room for them to build houses, they just lay around and die. Eventually, they do start like wandering around the landscape as you get towns and stuff. So it's not just always this like empty kind of plot of land. But you know, that does happen. So you don't want them to die. So only spawn people when you've got plots of land. So I'm just going to try to get as many kind of building plots as possible. Okay, so these are all going to be these bigger felt tents, which I think that's okay. I don't think I necessarily need level 1s anymore. I think it's better to have level 2 houses. Now I want to get up to a point where where my houses are producing belief. And I know that if you end up with 0 belief, there's some sort of mechanic to prevent you from getting completely stalemated. I think these level 1 houses actually start spawning belief if you do fuck yourself. But I don't think that's going to be a problem here, because it's actually giving me belief for spawning people. It used to be the other way around. That's nice that they changed that. So I'm just going to get some more plots here. Just extending the land out. Since this whole first shelf is provided for me, I might as well. A great way to just get some more room is just extend out on this reef. Okay, bam. more level 2s. Just get some more peeps out on them. So a lot of people have been asking, you know, should I buy Godus? Is it a good game? You know, is it still too early in development? Is it a pay-to-win game? You know, stuff like that, because they do introduce gems later, which sort of seem like a mechanic that you might see in something like Farmville. But I really think that it is a lot of fun. If you're not into playing games before they're really finished, don't buy this, because it does lock your progression after a certain point, and it becomes really frustrating because you really get into this mode of like, when's the next patch going to come out? I want to play more of this game. But, you know, this is just the way that it has to be right now. Okay, that's what I needed. Land expansion. Cool. So, one thing that you'll notice is, you know, what I said before, a lot of people like start spawning a bunch of dudes early in the game and they all end up killing themselves or just dying from, they just sort of die from like apathy almost. It's kind of funny. So a lot of people early in the game will just spawn a whole bunch of people, which increases your population, which is a good thing. That's what you want. But you don't really, you don't need to spawn people to increase your population. You really need to build houses. You'll see all of a sudden I jumped to 50. Like, I wasn't even really, I spawned a few people and all of a sudden I jumped to 50. That's because these houses have 2 or 3 slots in them each. So if I just have one person building a house, they're then going to go inside and, you know, all start making more people, just like in real life. And so my population just kind of steadily increases as long as I'm just focusing on building houses. So that's what I'm going to do. There is a decent amount of clicking in this game, which is another complaint people have. Which is, you know, another thing to consider if you get really pissed off at clicking a lot, you know, maybe wait a little while. They seem to be focusing more on, I think this team has sort of gotten locked into the model of curiosity, and it's not really like a bad thing. That was a really successful project, and I think that they know that curiosity was an experiment and that this is a game, and they're just sort of kind of feeling out the distinction between those two areas at the moment. You know, I think they definitely are going in the right direction, you know, but curiosity was a game purely based on clicking, and then sort of, you know, you could kind of place down items, and there was like a dynamic for that. But it was, you know, Peter Molyneux has said that it was very much an experiment. And, you know, this is very much a game. It's a lot different than Curiosity. If you don't know what Curiosity is, it's the previous game that this company, 22 Cans, made. And it's all it was a mobile game where people just clicked on little pieces of a gigantic cube in order to get to the center. And it was a really cool idea because the whole thing was like, what's in the center, you know, and a lot of people got obsessed with it. I think 50 million people bought the game or something like that. It may have even been free, which wouldn't surprise me, but there was like items that you could buy in the game, including one that cost £50,000. I don't, that's like 58,000. No, what is it? I can't figure that out at the moment because it's I think $1.8 to the pound. If my phone wasn't running a stopwatch, I'd do the math, and if I was smarter, I'd do the math in my head. But I've got too much to think about right now. Anyway, so okay, so I need to be. All I need to do at the moment is just blindly move forward. I'm gonna get more land expansion cards, which is gonna be good, but okay, so finding these chests is kind of what I should be concentrating on now. You can tell where they are because they have these little scraps of paper, and then you just dig them up by right-clicking. A lot of them used to be really deep. I think they have fixed that at the moment, and now they don't require like 3.5 minutes of just going like this. I didn't mind it so much. A lot of people bitched. I don't really blame them. Okay. So, I'm trying to make sure that I always have stuff going on back at this sort of home island, while I'm, you know, looking around and exploring for chests and shit. Let's go ahead and get a... Ooh, I'm out of belief. Okay. So, I think that's okay because I just unlocked that next card. Let's just focus on shit. So yeah, this ain't good. But I think it's okay because what's gonna happen now? Well, there's a whole bunch of trees and rocks I can destroy, but I'm also gonna I think that construction card that I just unlocked. Let's go check that out real quick. Science card. So, yeah, so these new houses, every house that I build from now on, regardless of whether it's level 1 or 2. By the way, I kind of breezed through that. Level 1, and they changed the level, quote-unquote, or whatever, the type of house they build, just purely based on how much land they have. You can see there, that was a level 1 plot that expanded to level 2, just because I made more room. God, this game... The beginning of this game moves kind of fast, and then it really slows down. But that's okay. I think they will address that. And there's like always stuff to do in this game. You know, there's always land to clear, always houses to build. You know, there's always like another population cap to reach that'll give you some new technology or whatever. Okay. I want to try not to use too much belief here. Unfortunately, because this land has to be moved up so much, it's kind of eaten my belief. I'm obsessive about getting level 2 houses rather than 1s. There we go. Alright, we'll do 1, 1, and 1, 2. Okay, so spawning people... I'm just getting used to this mechanic of spawning people to get more belief. Never done it before. It's weird. It's a bit odd. Shit. Sort of fucked myself a bit here. Okay, let's spawn a couple of people. I need to get these. Once I have a few of these new houses coming, I think I'll be in a better spot. So yeah, if you're, God, I'm so scatterbrained tonight. I apologize. If you're wondering whether or not you should buy this game, the only question you really need to ask yourself is whether or not you can deal with the fact that it's still very much in development. You know, as long as you're okay with that, I think it's a great game to buy. You know, there's little tiny bugs. You can see I have 2 cursors at the moment. I think you can see that. That's obviously a bug. This balancing does seem to be a little off at the moment. Just since I'm sort of sitting here, you know. There was a bit of this going on in the last patch, but I feel like not quite this much. The other thing I could do... Well, actually, no, it appears it won't let me do that. I was going to say I could spawn people, just a whole bunch of people to get belief, but it has that sort of weird cap now. Let's see how long these take. 12 minutes! Alright. We're gonna do a little skip ahead here. Just a little fancy editing.